Hi. This video is going to be about not letting other people define who you are or what you're going to be in the future. And I'm going to give you a few examples, um, real life examples. For example, when I was in high school, my first high school had a really, it was poor. It was very poor. I mean, half the time the accreditations was gone. I mean, it was bad. And so I had bad teachers. And I took physical science and got a D. And um, by no fault of my own, I, it had everything to do with the school district and how poor it was. Um, and so we moved because to go to a better school district. Um, and when I went to sign up for my classes, I signed up for, as a sophomore, I signed up as biology because I wanted to take chemistry and physical science in my following years. And they would not let me take biology because I had gotten a low grade in physical science no matter what I said. No matter, I'm like, test me, anything. I, I did fine in everything else. And it's just that this teacher sucked. They didn't have the equipment that was needed. The books, they didn't have books. I mean, it was awful. It's not my fault. And they wouldn't let me take biology. I had to take life science. And basically, that was um, remedial biology, um, cut. Basically, we were like cutting and pasting stuff, and um, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to put anybody down, but I had this plan for my life, and I knew how it was gonna go, and I didn't like somebody else, even though they were an adult, telling me how it was going to go. I'm like, no, this is what's going to happen. So that class ended up being me finishing the work in like 10 minutes. And then I did all my homework in that class. I mean, I didn't belong there. I didn't need that. I needed something else. So I ended up taking biology in junior high. And so, and that was the only thing that needed to get back on track. And so, when I was a senior, I went to sign up for my classes. And I signed up for AP American History, um, English Literature, um, Algebra 2 with trigonometry, and some other AP class, and they and I had a group of teachers tell me they were all at this table, like a card table, folding out table, and here I am, and I'm like turning in my sheet, and I'm like, okay, I picked my classes, and they were telling me how I was not going to be able to carry this course load, and I'm like, no, these are the classes I'm taking. And they're like, each of these classes take at least 2.5 hours of homework a night. And I'm like, these are the classes I'm taking. And so, um, and they're like, okay. And I totally proved them wrong and got A's and B's. And um, so, um, I was not leaving there. I was not leaving there letting them talk me down. I knew what I was capable of. I knew what I wanted. I, I knew I was prepared for the work. And by the way, it did not take that long to do the homework. I had, I still had plenty of time for a pretty good social life. Um, which is, by the way, about the only time period I had a good social life. Um, so I would say that was probably when my life was the best. It's about 16 and 17. So, like I said, I knew what I was capable of. I knew it was going to be hard. I knew I would be pushing myself, but I knew what I wanted, and I wasn't going to let someone, even though they were a teacher, an adult, to tell me otherwise. I mean, I could see in their eyes like, this girl must be, like, completely delusional. I mean, yeah, I have delusions of grandeur, but it has nothing to do with this right now. Um, and that was, like, my best year. And I I didn't know it, but I was known as a brain. You know, like when you have categories of kids, jock, and that. In senior year, I was told by my neighbor that I was in this small group of brain. So I actually felt a little smug about that. Um, um, Another time, um, was in nursing school. I'm by nature, a quiet person. I have, unless I'm manic, then I won't shut up. I will stalk you, walk behind you, and jabber for hours. But my norm is that I'm a thoughtful, introspective, kind of quiet person. But don't be fooled that nothing's going on. I am very busy in here. There is a lot going on just because I'm not talking. And I also have a problem with my voice. Apparently, people can't hear my voice very well. And that's why I never did. I helped with the group dog training classes, but I wasn't the main instructor. I would help pull people out one by one if they were having problems because nobody could hear me and they were going to give me a mic, but I left. By that point, I left, resigned. Um, and so I tell people when I'm training them, if you can't hear something I've said, please ask me to speak up or repeat myself because there's something about my voice that doesn't carry very well. And when I'm training a dog, I barely speak. I barely speak. And if I do, most people can't hear I'm even saying anything. Okay, so I'm going somewhere with this. That's my nature. I'm just a quiet, easy person. So I'm in nursing school. I'm in my last year. And that's when we started doing the specialty rotations. Like uh, maternity. I hated it. Pediatrics. Hated it. I'm not big on children. I like children. They're wonderful things. They can be funny and cute. I don't want any. I soon get um, a headache. The sound of a kid crying or screaming, having a tantrum it's a good thing that I never did have kids, and I think it would have been disastrous for my bipolar disorder. But anyway, so I think this was my pediatric nurse instructor, and we did our rotation, my rotation, and we had our last like rotation interview, and um, and she said to me, I think that you're going to be the kind of nurse that the other nurses take advantage of, and will get you to do their work or just walk all over you. And I'm like, what? What makes you think that? And I looked at her like I was, well, surprised, but also completely disgusted. Like, how dare you say such a thing to me? And I said, I can assure you that when I'm working or not working, at any point, anybody is going to take advantage of me. I have no problem speaking up for myself. I talk when there's something needed to be said. So if someone tries to take advantage of me, they're going to hear about it. Just, yeah. So no. You got me wrong. You really did. You really got me wrong. So but I was like really firm with her, like, and she kind of was like, oh, because I was like, no, that I can assure you that will not happen. When something needs to be said, I'm gonna say it. But just because I'm not jabbering all the time doesn't mean I'm a doormat. So, screw you, basically. I'm not going in the pediatrics anyway. Okay? So, and then, of course, when I was a teenager, here's another example. You can't do this now because schools won't let you express yourself. I think that's completely insane. Oh, I had haircut. I was a punk rocker in the 80s. Um, my hair was all kinds of colors: black, bleach, blonde, red, purple on accident, cut in many different styles. Lots of eyeliner. If you know who Susie and the Banshees are, that's how we did our makeup. Black lips, Um, Later on, I went less dramatic and more towards wanting to actually look corpse like. And so I would like use dark powder for contouring and stuff. Um, and that's when I was more into Bauhaus than a different band. Um, I went to school. Now you see, I went to school. I went to a very, 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 very preppy high school. Jock, very athletic, um, and um, where I came from and moved up there, I was already shaped. I was already formed into who I was going to be and who I was. And this person did crazy things with her hair, um, crazy things with her makeup, saw myself as a palette and put different clothes on and, wore all black. And um, my dad hated it, but he didn't say anything. My mom didn't particularly like it too much, but all they were really interested were, as long as you keep your grades up, um, you can do whatever you want. This is before piercings were real big, maybe a nose ring here or there. But so um, so I expressed myself. And I knew when I went to school that I was going to be teased and I was going to be made fun of and I was going to be harassed. But I didn't, um, I didn't change myself to make them feel more comfortable and to make them stop teasing me. I continued to get teased. And also because they thought I was gay. That's a whole different story. That's a weird story. But so I went to school every day looking the way I wanted to look, regardless of who knocked my books out of my arms. And you know um, I did succumb to conformity when I went to nursing school, because I went to nursing school and, like I said, all these girls that were with me came from the background of, they'd always known they wanted to be a nurse, and I was not that person. Nursing was a new thing to me. So but I also, realized that I can't go to clinicals to work with patients and look crazy. I mean, like, crazy good. Like, heavy eyeliner, it's 8 a.m., have the blackout here and black lips and white face and black hair spike, it, for that environment, it's important that the patient and your coworkers have confidence in you. And so you have to, it's important, especially since I was ultimately going to go, into oncology, and I did do my rotation, my final management rotation on the bone marrow transplant floor. That person has to feel safe and comfortable that you're going to take care of them so that they can relax and heal. And I felt like I might make people I was taking care of or people I was working with doubt my abilities, um, my um, not goals, but priorities, and that, and and so I had to cut some of the crazy down for, like the hair color, and um, teased out to, because I did, I need them to see me as almost like a butler. You're there, you know exactly what's wanted and when, and you take care of it, and it's almost like you weren't even there. And I couldn't, so I had to conform. And I also conformed in other ways, though, to please other people. I got into a relationship, and we were engaged, and we were supposed to get married, and I was diagnosed with bipolar, and he bailed and regretted it, and I still told him to go to hell. and, um, but I'll do I'll do a video someday about, because people ask my sexuality. It's complicated. um, and not that it's anybody's business. I just like the idea of talking about how polarized we once were, and now we have all this, everybody's everywhere on the continuum, and I think that is so freeing and comfortable, and nobody has to hide who they are in those things. Um not letting other people define who you are, what you're going to be. um Now I'm going to give you an example that didn't go well. um my brother, I talk about my brothers. I have a lot of brothers. This one, which is another video I have to do, just about him, um, Justin, which is what my name was supposed to be if I were a boy. Um, he played Little League Baseball from T-ball all the way up to when he went to high school. And it he like his dad is on the short stature, um, not very tall at all, but he was amazing. He was a wonder to watch. He was shorter than all the other players, but he played shortstop because he could leap so high in the air and catch. No ball got by him. Um, he was fast. He was like scary fast. Those little legs just. He stole bases like ting, 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 and picked baseballs right out of the air. Was always MVP and always on the winning team. His only downfall is he gets so competitive that if his um, teammates were not putting in 150% like he was, he would start yelling at them, his own teammates. In the umpire, he was kicked out of a few games for doing that. Anyway, uh, his nickname was Juice. I don't even know how that happened, but he was Juice. And Juice went to high school. and got on the high school baseball team. And not too far into it, the coach said to him, you know, because he said he wanted to be in the major leagues. That was his life goal. And his coach said to him, well, you'll never be in the major leagues. You're way too short. He quit baseball that day and wouldn't tell us why. He'd always been very self-conscious about his being short. His friends would kind of rib him about it. And, you know, he found it difficult to find girlfriends. Even though he was super cute, super good looking, he was just always aware of how short he was. And when that coach said that, he let that coach determine who he was going to be. And his life started to take a downturn from there. He was getting into trouble, hanging out with some losers, and I don't know how they all like a group of friends, I guess they finally decided they needed to grow up, and living in an apartment and eating pizza and partying every night wasn't cool anymore. So they all decided to go join the Marines. And that is like a kind of a tradition in our family. My grandfather joined the day after Pearl Harbor. He was 17. And his mom had to sign a paper for him to get in. And he was in the snipe. He was a ranger, sniper in the South Pacific. Because he was a small, thin guy. He was a dancer. And he could go into small spaces as a sniper. And his son went to Vietnam, joined the Marines and went to Vietnam. And so my brother joined the Marines. And where is it? This is a really bad picture because we're talking way back when, like the 90s. And I don't know if I can even show you. Let me see how close I can get it. The point is, I don't know if you can see it. In his face, the pride. And there's my mom. Look how happy she is. And he's standing there and he's just looking so proud. Coming the first time, you know, we saw him in his navy blue dress blues, I think is what they're called. He became someone he could live with. He wasn't too short to be a Marine. And now I can't get it back in. So he basically reinvented himself after letting somebody define who he was going to be. Unfortunately, he went to Somalia, and things happened there that he had a hard time living with, and it had affected his life back here. And he died when he was 44. Um, 18. Yeah, 44. I don't know why I can't remember that by heart, but oh wait, is it February 2018? He was born in 73. Anyway, he died from fatal heart arrhythmia due to chronic alcoholism. He also had liver failure, pretty much no liver, pancreatitis, the whole shebang. But anyway, he reinvented his. It was when he came out of the Marines. He loved that camaraderie so much and that identity so much, and he came out and he thought he had what he wanted, a wife with a kid and a house and a car. But it turns out that the wife was a total bitch and messed with his head completely, and things did not go well for him because of her. So, I mean, like, she pushed him over the edge, is what I'm saying. He was standing at the cliff, and she came over and pushed him off. But back to the, you know, baseball. You know, he was a Marine. He identified with that even after he left the Marines, a vet. Later, he became a vet, a disabled vet. He had PTSD but he still longed for that thing he had only briefly. He was unable to define a new him, to create a new him. I'm this new person now. I mean, that's pretty much all we do all our lives is shuck off the old you and start over. So when you are in a moment and somebody is trying to tell you what you are capable or not capable of doing, like as in your abilities, you need to go tell them to go screw themselves, because just say, well, I'll find out for myself when I fail. But I'd rather try and fail than not do it or even try to do it just because of your opinion. A lot of people blow off, like I did, blow off what other people say and do exactly what I know I am capable of, and succeed. I could have taken all those classes in high school and drowned in them and got F's. And then I would have known, oh, guess I was wrong, but it would be my mistake to make. And it's not like they were just like, oh, don't, oh, you'll never be able to do that. I mean, they really did not want me to leave that room with that form. I'm like, I am not taking life science again. I'm sorry. So So when you find yourself in a moment where someone is trying to define what you can't or cannot be, what you can or cannot be, to how to define yourself, you're stupid, you're too short, you're too anything. That's probably the worst word in all vocabulary for your self esteem. You're too quiet. You you're too fat. You're you're not smart enough. You'll never be able to carry that load. So just tell them flat out. Well, I'll find that out for myself. I'll make my own mistakes. Thank you. Because that's if you just go around listening to what other people are say what you're gonna be, you'll never be happy. You'll never be a satisfied, fulfilled human being. You have to make your own judgments and your own mistakes, and they will be painful when you do. But when you triumph and you're like, see, I told you I could do it, it gives you a little added, a little extra. Not only did you do it, but you did it in spite of what other people were telling you. So this comes to bipolar disorder. I have had people tell me that I will never have a normal life. Well, no shit. I that I'm always going to struggle. I'm trying to put it in the right words what they said. Um, that my that I was always I mean, I literally was told that I was going to always have problems. I was always going to struggle. I was always going to be in and out of the hospital. It was just something I was going to have to accept. I was, you're you're going to have to accept that you aren't going to be able to have things that other people have. And that might be true, but that doesn't mean I still can't be a fulfilled human being or have a degree of that. Like, well, well, um, maybe nursing is too much. But on the other hand, I did work at the animal shelter for like 7 years, and that seems like a really good time, a really good spread to me for someone that has my level of disability. And I worked hard to be able to do it. So, and I haven't been in the hospital. I can't even remember when I was last in the hospital. It's been that long. It's 2020. At least 15 years. So, but when I was in the throes of getting the right medication and being diagnosed, I was told that I was, gonna basically had a picture painted for me of what my future would be like, and I'm like, nah. Um, the first thing I did was educated myself on the disorder. Absolutely, I just absorbed everything. I got everything. And then I started monitoring myself internally and externally and how people were responding to me. And I took notes and I talked about it on YouTube. And and therapists and journal after journal after journal. Um, and and I've had some very, very, very life a fulfilled life. I helped a lot of people when I was a nurse and when I was working at the shelter and even in between. And my picture did has not looked like they made it sound like I was. This is back when I was getting the ECT and stuff, and I'm like, I can't believe some of these people work in the field of psychiatry and the techs and stuff, and um, yeah, I have to take medication every day. I have lots of things I have to do, but my life is nothing like they painted it and predicted for me, and it was all my doing. It was all my doing. It, you know, I mean, I have teammates, my doctors, good psychiatrists, and when I needed a good therapist. Um, so, so if anyone is trying to tell you what your life's gonna be because you have a mood disorder or have anxiety, don't just accept it. Don't just, like take it lying down. If you want something, figure out how you're going to work your disorder so you can get it or something like it, or just, don't be a doormat. Speak up. Um, Say no. No, my life's not going to be like that. I'm going to do something about it to make sure it doesn't. And you can't rely on other people to make something of your life. You can't just sit there and say, "Okay, fix me." You have to help yourself. You have to know you better than your doctors know you, and use your words. Learn lots of words, so you are able to describe how you're feeling to the people that can help you get to what you want. So, no, nursing is not in my future. I accept that. And that's okay. I did that. And I really don't want that. What do I want now? What do I want for my life now? I want to reach into the creative side of me. I usually am very intellectual. I would like to let go creatively, and there's no reason I can do that. Even I can't. There's no reason I cannot do that. Thank goodness I have nobody telling me you can't. Creativity is a crazy thing. You can be creative with anything. It's not just poetry and painting and music. I mean, you can get some sticks and bottle caps and make a sculpture. So, that is my most recent definition of me, is that I'm happy with, that I'm satisfied with, and that has led up to now is a caring, empathetic, sympathetic, um, intelligent, want to be creative, um, curious, satisfy my curiosity person. And I can do that for myself. So, your homework is to look inside and define, come up with a definition of what you want to be, and figure out a plan. Now, plans are tricky. You have to meet short term goals to get to long term goals. So don't get discouraged if you go straight for your long term goal. Get your short term goals and build up. So that's my advice anyway. My next video is going to be about relationships and having bipolar disorder, as someone has requested. I finally have a little format, little outline for me to follow. So, hope this was of some use to somebody. And I'll also talk about I'll do one about my brother, because it is related to social anxiety as well, and PTSD and stuff. So, alright, good night. I'm going to watch the election.